We are counting down the 9 most controversial cookware brands of 2025, ranked from the worst to the most reliable when it comes to PFAS exposure, toxic risks, and the truth behind those non-toxic claims. From brands under advertising investigations to industry icons facing lawsuits, recalls, or surprising lab results, this list exposes the gap between catchy marketing and what is actually proven or still in question, which pans are at the center of heated debates, and which quietly earn trust. Now, let us kick off the countdown with number 9. Caraway finds itself at the center of the cookware debate for 2025, not because of a recall or a failed lab test, but because of what it can and cannot say about safety. In August, the U.S. National Advertising Division reviewed Caraway's claims that its ceramic-coated pans are PFAS-free and non-toxic. After examining third-party lab results, the division allowed Caraway to keep using those phrases for its own products, but the decision drew a clear line. Caraway could not claim that most traditional non-stick pans are inherently harmful, and it could not imply that switching to Caraway guarantees better health. The division noted that Caraway's evidence supported its own PFAS-free status, but did not justify broad statements about competitors or sweeping health benefits. This scrutiny comes as investigative reports place Caraway in the so-called quasi-ceramic category, aluminum pans coated with a sol gel layer containing ingredients like titanium dioxide and siloxanes. Some patents for similar coatings even reference lead or mercury, though there is no public evidence these metals are present in Caraway's current products. Activist XRF tests have detected metals in handles and exterior finishes, but experts stress these are screening results, not proof of leaching into food. Meanwhile, Washington State's Safer Products for Washington program now requires brands like Caraway to report coating ingredients, nudging the industry toward more transparency. Caraway's story is a lesson in how evidence, not slogans, drives trust, and why it opens our list of the most controversial cookware brands this year. In 2022, Consumer Reports testing raised new questions for Our Place's original Always pan. Despite being marketed as free of PTFE and PFOA, lab analyses detected fluorinated substances similar to PFAS in the coating. This finding put a spotlight on the gap between what brands promise and what independent testing sometimes uncovers. The original Always pan belonged to the same sol gel quasi-ceramic category as Caraway and GreenPan, relying on a complex mix of binders and pigments with only partial ingredient disclosure. Critics pointed to rapid wear, chipping under high heat, and the use of ambiguous terms like non-toxic without clear supporting data. By 2025, Our Place responded with a major product pivot, the Titanium Always Pan Pro. According to the company, this new version uses a textured titanium-based cooking surface and is advertised as free of PTFE and PFOA. The move is framed as a direct response to past concerns about PFAS and durability complaints. However, Our Place has not released detailed third-party lab reports or full technical sheets on the new surface. Early reviews highlight improved scratch resistance and better tolerance of metal utensils, but there is little independent data on long-term durability or on whether metals might migrate from the titanium layer. For now, the Titanium Always Pan Pro stands as a visible attempt to move away from the sol gel controversy, but cautious buyers may note the lack of published lab evidence behind the new formula. GreenPan entered the cookware scene promising a revolution. Its Thermalon-coated pans were advertised as completely toxin-free and 0% toxins, setting a bold standard for non-stick marketing. But in 2019, a class action lawsuit alleged those claims overstated the safety of its products and misled buyers about the risks of competing brands. The complaint cited marketing that painted rival non-stick pans as loaded with PFAS, lead, or cadmium, while presenting GreenPan as the only truly safe choice without sufficient independent evidence to back up those sweeping contrasts. As the lawsuit gained attention, several eco-focused review sites, including LeafScore, adjusted their ratings. Some guides removed GreenPan from their non-toxic lists or added cautionary notes, citing a lack of public leach test data and the ongoing legal dispute. Over time, GreenPan clarified its formulations, and more states moved to restrict PFAS, and some sites reinstated the brand but with careful language. GreenPan's Thermalon coating is widely described as a PFAS-free sol gel ceramic layer on aluminum, containing silica networks, titanium dioxide, and proprietary binders. Critics continue to note that full ingredient disclosure remains limited, and that the original 0% toxin slogan was never matched by comprehensive toxicological studies. Today, GreenPan is still seen as a leading PFAS-free option, but the legacy of bold marketing and incomplete transparency keeps it under the microscope for cautious consumers. HexClad built its reputation on hybrid pans, stainless steel lattices, over a non-stick layer that promised the best of both worlds. But in 2025, the company agreed to a $2.5 million settlement after a California class action challenged its marketing terms, like non-toxic, PFAS-free, and PFOA-free. Court filings allege buyers were misled because older HexClad pans relied on PTFE for non-stick performance, a fluoropolymer many scientists and regulators consider part of the PFAS family. While HexClad denied wrongdoing, reporting notes the company acknowledged PTFE was present in some products covered by the settlement. Independent lab screening in 2025 using FDA-modified leach protocols found no detectable PFAS in most tested HexClad pans. One sample showed a lead level just above a 1 part per billion internal lab threshold, likely from a glass lid component, but still well below regulatory action levels. At the same time, environmental review sites describe at least one newer HexClad line as genuinely PFAS-free, suggesting the company is shifting some products toward a ceramic style or non-fluorinated coating. No detectable PFAS was the headline for most samples, but the details matter. There is no public master list showing which models use which coating or when the transition happened, so transparency remains limited. For buyers, this coating generation ambiguity is more than a technical detail. Without clear guidance tying SKU to years, it is hard to know whether a pan on the shelf is a PTFE-based hybrid or a newer PFAS-free variant. The $2.5 million settlement underscores the cost of ambiguous messaging in a market where labels like non-toxic and PFAS-free carry real weight. If you are trying to avoid PFAS entirely, HexClad's hybrid approach means you should check the fine print, and when possible, verify the exact coating on the pan you are buying. Made In's reputation for high-performance cookware has come under scrutiny in federal court, where a class action alleges the company's non-stick pans were marketed as PFOA-free and 100% non-toxic, while independent tests detected PFAS in the coating. The legal complaint centers on the difference between removing just one regulated chemical, PFOA, and the broader consumer expectation that 100% non-toxic means no PFAS of any kind and no meaningful chemical risk. This tension between narrow legal definitions and public understanding has put Made In's non-stick lines under the microscope. In response, Made In now highlights third-party lab reports from Light Labs. According to the company, these tests in 2025 covered stainless-clad, ceramic-clad ceramic non-stick, carbon steel, and enameled cast iron. All samples reportedly passed PFAS migration tests, with no detectable PFAS above the lab's limit of quantification. Heavy metals and BPA were also tested, and the lab described the results as very safe for consumers. These certificates of analysis are posted for public review, offering a level of transparency that many competitors lack. Still, some eco-focused cookware guides recommend sticking to Made In's uncoated stainless or carbon steel for the most risk-averse shoppers. Their ceramic nonstick is often listed as a PFAS-free option, but with a reminder that all nonstick coatings have a limited lifespan and can change with damage or overheating. For buyers weighing old allegations against new lab data, the story of Made In is a reminder to read the full certificate of analysis, not just the marketing slogans. In this countdown, mixed signals and ongoing litigation place Made In squarely in the middle of the pack. Le Creuset's colorful enameled cast iron is a staple in kitchens worldwide, but its bright exterior glazes have drawn scrutiny from lead safety activists using XRF screening. Tests on some of the most vivid reds, yellows, and oranges have detected high total levels of lead or cadmium in the outer enamel layers. At the same time, XRF results on the inner cooking surface, the part that touches food, tend to show low or undetectable levels of these metals. This difference highlights a key distinction. XRF reveals the total amount of an element present in the glaze, not whether it migrates into food during real-world cooking. Regulators like the FDA and California's Proposition 65 focus on leaching risk, not just total content. For cookware to pass, it must release less than a strict limit of lead or cadmium into food simulants under controlled conditions. Le Creuset products sold in the US and EU consistently meet these standards for food contact surfaces, and the brand has not been cited in recent FDA warnings about cookware that fails leach tests. Critics, however, point to a lack of transparency about when leaded pigments were used in specific colors or when they were phased out. The timeline for reformulated glazes remains unclear, making it difficult for buyers to know exactly what they are getting with older or imported pieces. Most guidance from eco-conscious sources suggests focusing on pieces with neutral or black interiors, and for those concerned, choosing more muted exteriors or newer releases from reputable retailers. Le Creuset's long-term durability and compliance with leaching limits keep it near the top of safety rankings, but questions about exterior pigment ingredients and documentation landed at number 4. For those seeking enamel cookware with the fewest questions about heavy metals, the next brand on the list is often cited as the gold standard. In May 2025, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission announced a recall affecting about 1.8 million Ninja Foodi OP300 series pressure cookers sold across the United States and Canada. The problem was this: under certain conditions, the lid could open while the cooker was still under pressure. When that happened, hot food and liquid could spray out and cause serious burns. More than 100 incidents were reported in the United States, with multiple cases requiring medical attention. The recall covered specific models of the OP300 series manufactured between 2018 and 2023. Consumers were offered a free repair kit, a replacement unit, or for some, a refund, depending on the age and condition of the cooker. The company and the commission instructed owners to stop using the affected units until they had been repaired or replaced. Unlike the chemical controversies surrounding non-stick coatings, this was a mechanical hazard. The Foodi recall did not involve Ninja's standalone frying pans or air fryers, and there were no allegations about PFAS or heavy metals. Still, the scale and severity of the recall set it apart. For many owners, the recall was a stark reminder of why it is important to register new appliances and keep an eye on official safety notices. Mechanical failures like this are less common than debates over coatings, but when they happen, the consequences can be immediate and severe. In this ranking, Ninja lands high, not because of chemical risk, but because a proven large-scale recall is one of the strongest signals that something went wrong. If you own a pressure cooker, now is a good moment to double-check model numbers and make sure all safety updates have been addressed. Staub's enameled cast iron has earned a reputation among cautious cooks for what it does not contain. Independent activist XRF testing on Staub's La Cocotte, especially in the neutral gray enamel, found no detectable lead, cadmium, arsenic, or mercury on the cooking surface or the exterior. The only metal flagged was chromium, present in the hardware, which is expected for stainless steel handles and knobs. These results stand out in an environment where many brands face questions about pigments or hidden additives. Eco-focused guides like LeafScore regularly highlight Staub as a safer choice, pointing to its compliance with both the European Union and California Prop 65 standards for leaching. Unlike some competitors, Staub's manufacturing process and ingredient lists are subject to strict European Union controls, with products routinely passing regulatory tests for heavy metal migration. In online communities that track lead safety and low-tox cookware, many users say they choose Staub to avoid the uncertainty around colored glazes or proprietary coatings. There are no major lawsuits or recalls tied to chemical migration or ingredient disclosure for Staub's current lines. The brand's main drawbacks are practical, not chemical. The cookware is heavy, expensive, and can chip if mishandled. But for those looking to minimize risk without giving up enameled cast iron, Staub's consistent screening results and regulatory track record offer real peace of mind. In this ranking, Staub lands at number 2, an example of how transparency and solid compliance can set a brand apart as buyers grow more skeptical of bold safety claims elsewhere. All-Clad's uncoated stainless steel pans have earned a reputation for doing exactly what they promise, no more, no less. Unlike most cookware in this countdown, these pans rely on a simple construction, layers of stainless steel sometimes with an aluminum or copper core for even heating, but with no non-stick coating at all. There is no polymer surface to wear away, no sol gel, no titanium oxide, and no need to worry about Pfas and other forever chemicals. For buyers concerned about chemical migration, this is the straightforward answer. Uncoated stainless does not need a non-stick layer, so there is nothing to flake, degrade, or leach under normal cooking conditions. The main controversy attached to All-Clad in recent years had nothing to do with toxicity. Between 2021 and 2023, a class action lawsuit alleged that certain All-Clad D3, D5, and LTD sets sold as dishwasher safe were prone to corrosion and delamination after repeated dishwasher cycles. The problem was not about hidden chemicals, but about sharp, exposed edges that could develop as the bonded layers separated. All-Clad denied any wrongdoing, but agreed to settle for up to roughly $4 million, offering compensation and clarifying that hand washing is safest for these pans. The issue was mechanical, not chemical. Even in affected sets, the materials themselves remained the same food-grade stainless alloys that have been used in cookware for decades. The absence of a non-stick coating is both the strength and the main trade-off. Food can stick if you do not preheat or use enough oil, and the surface can pick up stains or discoloration with heavy use. But for those looking to avoid PFAS, nanoparticles, or questions about leaching from hybrid ceramics, All-Clad's core stainless lines are as close to a default safe option as you will find in mainstream cookware. Guides from eco-focused and consumer advocacy sources consistently recommend uncoated stainless as a core component of a low-tox kitchen, especially for high-heat searing, boiling, or tasks where nonstick is not essential. Care is simple but important. Hand wash to preserve the bonded layers, avoid harsh abrasives that can scratch the surface, and keep an eye out for any corrosion or sharp edges if you do use the dishwasher. For those with nickel sensitivity, some guides suggest limiting acidic recipes or choosing alternative alloys. But for most people, the risk is minimal. In a landscape crowded with bold, non-toxic slogans and new coating technologies, All-Clad's uncoated stainless pans stand out for their lack of drama. No chemical controversies, no recalls for leaching, just a well-documented construction and a track record that is easy to verify. That is why, in this comparison, simple stainless earns the #1 spot, not because it is flashy, but because it is reliably PFAS-free by design. Across all 9 brands, one pattern stands out. The bolder the non-toxic claims, the more scrutiny and skepticism are needed. Marketing buzzwords rarely match manufacturing reality, and real safety comes from transparency, not hype. In cookware, vigilance beats slogans, because what ends up in your food is shaped by what is left unsaid. Which brands do you trust? Share your thoughts and subscribe for more evidence-based rankings.